a child of timekeepers too, Sylvie. We can talk.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, got it.
Wait, Sparks?
Got it.
Sparks.
Oh no!
That's
Yo,
a robot.
you got it. You got it. That's not all shit, bro. Oh my god, it's so disturbing.
I knew it. So
You called it.
who
You
built
called it. You called it.
Who made it?
Am I dead?
Not yet,
That's Richard E. Grant.
Is it?
but you will be unless you come with us.
It's gonna be Avengers, but
Whoa, what?
more Lokis! Is that a freaking alligator Loki?
Of course.
Yo,
I
Richard E.
love
Grant
this
looks
show.
ridiculous. He looks so ridiculous. It's classic Loki all the way.
my God.
Oh my god.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. Loki Episode 4 confirmed our theories about the Timekeepers just being puppets controlled by someone else. It pruned off Mobius and Loki just to reveal life after pruning, and suggested the most dangerous Nexus events are apparently formed by loving yourself too hard. And if that is the case, I created 2.5 Nexus events during this episode. But wait a damn minute! This is Inside Marvel. It's New Rockstars Loki After Show. I'm Erik Voss. My Easter egg breakdown of the episode is coming tomorrow, but here with me to discuss this episode is MT. Hey, MT.
Dude, what a doozy of an episode. Like,
I know.
Holy I mean, like, I heard that they were saying that episode 4 was going to be crazy, but, like, I didn't
Right.
know it was going to be like this. And, oh my god, it's so good to see Sif. It's so good to see
It was so good to see Sif. And Jamie Alexander was just here for it. She's like, you're giving me, 6 lines that I'm just going to say on loop? Whatever. I'm going to own
It's like,
this.
I can do that easy paycheck.
I mean, so much to love about this episode. And oh, by the way, MT, just a huge thank you to you and Jess Clemens last week for having me covered. It was nice to just get some R&R that I desperately needed. And you guys did a great job. I loved your episode.
Thank you. It was so good, like, doing an Inside Marvel with Jess, and, like, of course we missed you.
she's amazing.
It's weird having Inside
thank
Marvel without you, so, like, it's good to have you back. But I love Jess.
It was weird not to be with you on Wednesday. I'll say that. But let's dive into this episode, this insane episode.
Yes.
So we learned that Sylvie was captured by the TVA as a young girl for no apparent reason other than she was born the goddess of mischief and then fangirled over Valkyrie. I actually think that might have been the reason. She was just going to be a hero. Someone targeted Loki's and she was trying to kill off his enemies or get his enemies captured. We'll talk about that in a bit. But then back in Lamentis, we see some sparks forming between her and Loki in their dying moments. And then that endless love erected a raging branch that alerts the TVA to where they are. So they get arrested. Loki gets thrown in a time cell on loop with Lady Sif beating him up again and again and again. Definitely making up for her absence in Ragnarok. And then Renslayer has poor C20 pruned, mainly because she has been awakened to the truth.
She knew too much. She had to go.
Cold. So cold. But Mobius and B-15 see the light of this, which ends with poor Mobius getting pruned.
Oh, it was so sad. It was such a
oh my
powerful
God.
scene. Wow.
Oh, so sad. But he's probably coming back, right?
Yeah.
And the Timekeepers are revealed, these goofy, Bill and Ted Time Lords floating in these chairs. But when B-15 helps Loki and Sylvie, it leads to Sylvie decapitating one of these Timekeepers, revealing that they are mindless androids. And then right in this moment, Renslayer prunes Loki in the back, and Sylvie demands Renslayer to tell her everything. And Loki wakes up in the ruins of New York, finding Richard E. Grant as is listed in the credits, classic Loki, along with another dude who's listed as boastful Loki, Kid Loki, and Loki Gator? Gator Loki?
Al Loki Gator. I don't know.
Loki Gator. I mean, all this is in Florida, what happens when a kid in a Loki costume wanders too close to a retention pond by Disney World.
That's the origin story right there.
You see this every day. So the question posed at the end of this episode is what we're going to be talking about. Who really created the TVA? But we're also going to be talking about that crazy post-credit scene, all your questions that you had after this episode. I'm sure there were many. Oh, yes. But first, if you'd like to support the work we do here at New Rockstars and also make someone in your life really happy, head on over to newrockstarsmerch.com and buy a gift for that nerd in your life, a gift that they'll love. We have an entire Loki collection, augmented reality Loki shirts, Miss Minute stickers and clocks. But I am wearing our awesome latest obsession shirt, Loki Out of Time. MT has another TVA shirt that looks great.
Swag.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, man. I feel good.
But when you get this Loki Out of Time shirt, it comes in a couple different color varieties. When you get it, you'll unlock the ability to write in an additional custom shout out that will appear at the bottom of the screen in these episodes. So just to read a few, who do we got here? We got DeMarco, who says, calling it now, Loki is Amelia Earhart. Hey, maybe. We got 2 episodes left.
Hey, maybe Amelia Earhart was a Loki variant the entire time. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows? Oh, Jeff says Mobius and Mobius equals he who remains. Hey, that's an interesting idea.
That would be an interesting theory. I don't know after this episode if that
after
is
this
true.
episode. Agreed, MT. Yeah, I think they'd have to be. They got some more explaining to do if that's the case, but it's a possibility. And then Pasua says, "Wolf, you are the only one I want to reset time with. Love, Bear."
Aww. I don't know what that means, but that's super sweet.
I hope it's not Love, Bear. I hope it's just from Love Bear.
Love Bear. That's just a cute name. I hope it's Love Bear too.
Hey, this is why you got to get some merch at NewRockstarsMerch.com to show that Love Bear out
Seriously.
there that you love them.
It's the perfect way to propose. I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
No, I think it is.
Hey, do it if you want. Come on. I changed my mind. Propose via new Rockstar shirt. It's the best way to do it.
So, MT, let's talk. What's our first wait a damn minute here?
That's a good question. Our first wait a damn minute of the day is wait a damn minute. If the timekeepers are androids, who really created the TVA?
Yeah. Okay, so as we've been suspecting, since I think the first episode of the show, even before the first episode, while the timekeepers themselves do exist in some physical form, they themselves are not real deities, but they're just kind of phony machinery created by someone else. We're really indeed looking at a Wizard of Oz man behind the curtain scenario, which is exciting to see. Even though it's a theory that we had, it's like the way it's presented with the thing getting decapitated, rolls off, sparks fall out. I kind of love that.
It was still satisfying. Even though, yes, you called it. I was like, oh, shit. As soon as they started talking, I'm like, that's some Chuck E. Cheese shit. Erik was right.
So what does this mean? Well, right off the bat, I think we can assume everything Miss Minutes told us about the sacred timeline, about next events and variants, the past multiversal war. It was all most likely bullshit, right? Whatever that TVA propaganda department was, the narrative commission. Yeah, it was all kind of concocted. Now, there may still be a sacred timeline from which branches form, like as the Ancient One explained in Endgame. She did say like one timeline there. I don't know if it is considered the sacred timeline, and it was not created by these timekeepers. There may not have been a past multiversal war that was brought to peace by them. And I think Sylvie and other variants probably were not targeted because they create Nexus events, but in Sylvie's case, because she was like maybe a hero who identified with Valkyrie. Like all Lokis may have been targeted because they presented obstacles and were enemies to whoever truly created the TVA. And that's what it's just kind of a random kill list of people who get in that person's way of what their objectives are.
Yeah, it kind of reminds you of Wanted, like I don't know if you
it
remember
does.
the movie
I was just
Wanted.
about to say Wanted, the weavers, the weird weavers. They're like, it's just in the weave, it's in the tapestry. We can't do anything about this.
It's Morgan Freeman the entire time. He's behind this.
Now, when we're talking about who created the TVA, in the comics, the timekeepers were constructed by someone named He Who Remains. We've talked about this before, but just to remind you, that is the old final TVA agent at the end of all time who's in his weird little laboratory, and he creates these things to help the next universal cycle learn the lessons from the past, also to store weird chronal energy that they use for their retirement funds. It's crazy.
It's weird.
But I love it. Now, in the comics, I don't believe they're like, sparks, machines, gears, they're kind of just like organic created things that do kind of have power. They do kind of rise to this almost deity status, but they were created by someone who was like lower than that, it seems.
Yes.
This series may reveal a character named He Who Remains. We have 2 episodes left. Previously, we had theories that Richard E. Grant might have been playing that character, but now we see Richard E. Grant is playing this guy named Classic Loki. So I guess that's not the case. We'll talk about whoever that is later. But despite the TVA being built on lies, with a workforce of memory-wiped variants, it's still a very powerful institution that can transcend time, detain powerful beings whose magic is neutralized inside those boundaries. So someone gave the institution that power to begin with. So when we're talking about who would have the ability and the interest to manufacture this time variance authority, this bureaucracy, to preserve the flow of time in this specific way, who would fear Loki variants so much in order to do that this way?
That's a good question.
Let's look at a couple different options. Option A, we may very well meet He Who Remains. I don't know if they'll call this person that, but in this case of the show, He Who Remains could be someone we've already met, maybe like Ramona Renslayer, or a different Mobius, or even Casey. Poor old Casey sitting in front of us. This is a new picture.
The true mastermind, Casey.
He Who Remains, just like his mind wiped, but he created them in a past life. Maybe because we know the TVA was fully operational when Renslayer was still a hunter, so I don't know if she would be He Who Remains, but she is kind of the handler, the caretaker of the Timekeepers, knows their true nature, you know?
Yeah.
But I think the idea of this option would be maybe there's just some spineless TVA agent from a past universal cycle who is obsessed with maintaining order, and they created it this way, and all the clockwork was created by them. It's not a huge deal who they are. That would be that option.
Yeah, I do like that last option there, because like I feel like the TVA seems like an institution that has been there, because like you said, they have authority. Someone gave them that authority. Like you're not going to just wake up and be like, I'm just going to rule over time and space because I just have that. No, like either like I don't know if it's like the living, like someone gave them that authority. So like He Who Remains is.
Were you about to say the Living Tribunal?
Yes,
I love that idea.
I do. Maybe the Living Tribunal, because like he is sort of in charge of the multiverse. He's the multiverse man, so he has the final say. So like maybe
the ultimate judge. Something
happened where like there was a TVA, and then like they got corrupted by the Time Twisters. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, no.
That's a cool theory. Let's look at another option, though. Maybe it was some other past variant Loki who created the TVA and the Timekeepers. Like, there could be some alpha Loki who views all other Lokis as a threat and targets Loki specifically. And that's why, if you're a Loki, you're going in the brig, you know? That tends to be a lot of theories that I think are appearing online that, you know, X equals Loki, that Renslayer equals Loki, that Mobius equals Loki, you know? It's very, very possible. So far, I think it might go in another direction based off of what we see. Rather than just like everyone equals Loki, just because they did that in episode 2, that this other, or episode 1 really, that the variant they're seeking is Loki. If like everyone equals Loki, it starts to just feel like that amazing short story, The Egg, that I love, where everything is everything by the end of it. I don't know if most, I think some viewers might be like, huh? You know? I don't know. We would be excited though.
It'd be really cool if everybody in the TVA was Loki, but yeah, I don't think that they're going that route, because I feel like it would make the Loki less special. I don't know.
Right. A little bit, yeah. And we already did that once with Sylvie saying this not about you, and I think it worked fine then. But to keep doing it, it would reduce her impact, you know, reduce everyone's impact, you know, dilute it a bit, as we would say. Now, the option C is that perhaps like no one really created the TVA or the Timekeepers. Like it could just be like a self-perpetuating clock that's decentralized, that's just always kind of been there, and it's just moving forward under the orders of some automated timekeepers or missed minutes. They're just representative of the automation that runs this place. Maybe just some divine cosmic force at the beginning of time created this, but it's not that important. There's not a man behind the curtains in this version.
That I think that'd be really interesting. Have you ever heard of something called, you're a time travel man, so you definitely probably have, the bootstrap paradox?
No, explain that to me.
Okay,
I'm so excited to have something I don't know.
This is from a Doctor Who episode, so like I'm not super smart.
Oh, got it. Okay.
But I think it's a real paradox. So basically, it's like a time traveler goes back in time and he wants to meet Beethoven, but Beethoven doesn't exist. But he has all of Beethoven's like symphonies, so he becomes Beethoven. So like did Beethoven ever exist, or like because he was Beethoven? That. So like the TVA could be like, I don't know, like this weird time loop. Like who created the TVA? Who knows? But like someone, I don't know, went back and like, I don't know, maybe it's like this weird time loop type thing. I'm explaining the bootstrap paradox terribly, but like, I
get it. No, that makes a lot of sense, MT. It is kind of like a predestined, like your destiny is to go back in time and become Beethoven. It's almost like the very act of introducing the possibility of time travel in a universe through destiny creates these weird bureaucracies where someone in the future will have gone back to do this, you know? Like, it's just dropping in or opening that can of worms, just that simple act. The moment that happens, all these weird things spring up just because time travel is possible, and theoretically anything could have been altered. That's kind of the kind of the logic by which the fourth option that I think you guys all know where we're going here exists in the Marvel Comics. Because I think at the end of the day, MT, someone was puppeting the Timekeepers in that moment. Because notice when Sylvie cut off the head of the middle one, the other two laughed.
It was very
like
creepy.
An evil maniacal.
It was like
you petty fool. Yeah.
And they're moving around like robots too. It's like
Right. Robot laughter. Ha ha ha. One of our friends is dead. So that brings us to option D. And I think some other self-interested, powerful being with fascist goals, but doesn't want his face to be shown, could have created this hypocritical legal bureaucracy to enforce his exact vision of how he needs time to flow so it doesn't present him any obstacles. And who is more of an obstacle than Loki? So you want to prune as many Lokis as you can, because that, demigod is going to get in the middle of your plans. And if we're looking at the comics, that top suspect is Kang the Conqueror.
Gang.
The guy we've been talking about since, as soon as we knew the show was happening, we're like, Kang?
So where are you, Kang? I know you're coming, Kang.
We know he's coming. Now, Kang, of course, is the ultimate time travel villain of the Marvel Comics. He's the upcoming villain of Ant-Man, the Wasp: Quantumania, going to be played by Jonathan Majors. Now, Majors, I believe, has denied appearing in Loki. Maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe he's lying. Who knows? But depending on how the MCU frames Kang's power set, Kang would potentially have the power to set up an institution that can transcend time in a very limited range of options that he wants. He is kind of like a time god,
Yeah.
I have in recent weeks held back on Kang just because, I don't want to repeat a Mephisto. But I think right now, making Ravonna Renslayer such a prominent character in the series is a huge tell, because they could have chosen any other TVA judge from the comics. The TVA has a ton of judges.
It's true.
They could have made up a judge, but they named her Ravonna Renslayer. They picked that character for a reason, and I think that reason is because she is Kang's love interest. She has this connection to Kang. And in this episode, we start to see a lot more about Renslayer. We learn that she used to be a hunter. We really see how she is personally invested in keeping the Timekeeper's secret. She friend-zoned Mobius so hard, and she was able to ascend to judge status despite losing her variant in the middle of a trial. I mean, she's got to be benefiting from some kind of special treatment from whomever is running the TVA.
Yeah,
right?
It's really weird. And like in the preview for this episode, they did emphasize that pen that they talked about in episode 1, was it? The high school pen. And so I'm just wondering if like that there's a connection there between like, I don't know, Kang and this high school, where like maybe Ravonna is living like a secret side life, or maybe she's living a side life with Kang. Like, I don't know, but like, because like they're in charge of the timeline, they're in charge of all these people's lives, so they might want to live an actual life themselves, because why would they have to be, these bureaucratic people when they're in charge? So like, I'm gonna go and live a real life, and like me and Kang are gonna have a kid in high school and whatever. So that's my weird, like, I don't know, half theory going on there. But yes,
I think you pointed out an important clue there, MT, because the way Renslayer collects these different relics from these different pruned timelines felt kind of creepy this episode for sure.
Yes.
And it is similar to the way Kang builds up Chronopolis. It is kind of like his retirement pleasure kingdom that is made up. It's like kind of a collage of different relics of different architecture from different timelines that he has conquered. And it's like his glorified trophy room. And you see Renslayer doing it on this smaller scale. Like, you can imagine the two of them. He is like using her to maintain order within the TVA so that no one rebels, maybe. Whereas like promising her this kind of like, is, promising her the world, the moon, essentially. Just like, let's just get the timeline exactly as I need it. We'll use this bureaucracy. Everyone will just trust it inherently because it feels like a legal, authority. And then as soon as it's done, we're done, baby. We're done. You and I. Maybe she feels like kind of like, Stockholm Syndrome too. Maybe she's like terrified of him.
Maybe.
Like, okay, I'll keep your secret.
Because Stockholm Syndrome is real. Like, it's the weirdest thing, but it's for real.
Yeah. I just, I'm trying to look at this logically at this point, and like, when we were watching WandaVision, Mephisto, there were a lot of signs pointing to Mephisto. I think that's what a lot of people miss when they make fun of me for like going so hard on Mephisto. Is like, if you're actually watching the show, it wasn't just like a couple mentions of the word devil. It was just like the fact that they brought in Agatha Harkness specifically as a witch, and then we end in her witch dungeon, and she has the Darkhold. These are all kind of a check list of specific things that you're looking for if you're going to do a Mephisto story. But by the end, you had fewer and fewer episodes, and it's like, well, if Agatha is the big bad, then they're probably not going to have another big bad beyond her. Now we're at episode 4 in Loki, 2 episodes left. The people we thought were the big bad are not actual threats. So it leaves this void of like, well, then who is? So we're kind of at this point now of, well, it's okay to kind of look out and see who would be the villain of the series. Loki, or a version of Loki, could be that, but like the post-credit scene are like all these alternate Lokis. So how satisfying would it be to have like another evil Loki? It's like we already met like Loki variants. Every episode we meet a new Loki variant.
This is true, but at the same time, though, all of these Loki variants, I mean, as far as we can tell, they seem to be on the side of good, which is very un-Loki-like for the, for the Loki character in the Marvel universe. So I feel like there could be a chance, though, of there being just one truly evil Loki. It's like, all right, yeah, don't forget, Loki's still an evil character to some degree. So like there has to be like that contrast Loki of like, all right, we have Hiddleston Loki. He used to be bad, but now he's good. But there still has to be some type of evil Loki, because Loki, the character, still has to exist in that mischievous, evil form. I don't know.
Right. I think that's totally possible. I won't negate that possibility at all. And I think one thing that this show is showing us is that Lokis don't have to follow that archetypal role. They can be whatever they want. Is true. And I think it's trying to, we've already seen evil Loki in the first Avengers film in Thor. So it has been more interesting to see a broader range of morality on this show. So just to go back to one who's just evil Loki, like, I don't know for me if it would have the same impact. Maybe they will, and maybe I'll love it, episode 6. But I think you need to bring in someone else, either, maybe a Loki variant who's gone too far and then transformed his identity into someone like Kang. I don't want to pin all our hopes to Kang showing up in the show. I've learned that, you might have that blow up in your face. But, like, realistically, I was thinking it might be He Who Remains, but Richard E. Grant is playing a different character at this point. We don't have big bads currently. It just leaves a huge opening for Kang or someone like him to appear. So I'm thinking it's going to be Kang or it's going to be some original character.
It's gonna be Zarko the Tomorrow Man, the most evil villain of all time. Sorry, it's not gonna be Zarko. It's not Zarko, please. But yeah, it does leave it completely open for any time-based villain to pop in and be the villain of the show. So and Kang is the most logical in the MCU right now. So it makes sense to bring up Kang. And honestly, it would be weird if we didn't consider Kang first, because it's the most likely.
In many ways, it's the most likely.
Yes.
So do we want to give odds to that?
To Kang? Ooh.
Yeah. How good do you feel that Kang will appear in this show?
Because
I'm terrified right now of doing this.
I know, but it's fine. We Marvel scientists, bro. It's okay if we're wrong. But no, I think that because Quantum Mania is so soon, and because Kang is a big focus, and because of the name Quantum Mania, it's a very time-focused name. I would say the odds are probably 60-40. I don't know if that's...
Yeah, I was going to say 60% too. Before this episode, MT, I probably would have put it at maybe 25%. Just because, the show, the Timekeepers may just be the villain. But now the Timekeepers are killed and Richard E. Grant is playing a different character, I think it's more likely. It's more likely than not. I'll say that. 60%. I feel good.
We do have to consider Richard E. Grant Loki, because he is playing classic Loki, and that is that classic mischievous, not good Loki. So maybe he could just be like, hey, let's all gang together, Lokis, and do our thing. And then psych, now I've backstabbed you all, and now I'm the real bad guy. Haha, gotcha. Because it's Richard E. Grant. It's Richard E. Grant. He's a big name.
It is Richard E. Grant. He is a big name. I would just say it would be weird to reveal him in a 3-shot as opposed to just him. If it were just him, I'd say, oh, he's still the villain. But the fact that we got Kid Loki, we got Loki Gator, we got Boastful Loki, it seems like all those junkyard dudes in the trailer footage are all going to be different different,
Yeah,
reject
Lokis.
Lokis in different ways. So, like, he just seems like the elder of that Loki cult who's like, this is where we live now. We're all kings here.
I hope they assemble all the Lokis and they all like march together like, we're not gonna take it. Just march to the TVA.
All right, we have so much we got to talk about this episode. So before we get to that, here's some big news. The Manscaped engineering team has created the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, and it is available in the USA and Canada. Thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring this episode, by the way. Join the over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer, 25% off and free worldwide shipping with the code MARVEL at manscaped.com. The craftsmanship and details of the 4.0 are next level, MT. Their advanced ceramic blade and skin-safe technology, so good. It's probably what the TVA has next to their bathroom sinks, though it won't erase you from the timeline if you make a mistake. That's what the skin-safe technology is for.
That was in the 3.0, not the 4.0.
Yeah. Now, the Lawnmower 4.0 has a travel lock, a 4,000 LED spotlight, and allows you to customize your trim with 4 guard lengths. The optimized Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is waterproof, so you can groom in the shower, and it's got wireless charging. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code MARVEL at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code MARVEL at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code MARVEL. Unlock your confidence. Use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. We also want to thank Magic Spoon for sponsoring this video. A lot of us are trying to eat better. Healthy breakfast doesn't have to be boring, though. Magic Spoon has the amazing flavors you love, but without the bad stuff. Magic Spoon is 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. There's only 140 calories a serving. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free. Order yourself a variety pack that comes with 4 flavors, cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. And they get wild and mix up some cocoa and peanut butter flavors in the same bowl. It tastes like a peanut butter cup. So go to magicspoon.com/Marvel to grab a variety pack and try today. And be sure to use our promo code MARVEL at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/Marvel and use the code MARVEL to save $5 off. Thank you to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this episode. And our friends at Blue Chew sponsor this episode. Thank you, Blue Chew. We have
Time
a unique...
for a boner. Sorry.
Blue Chew has a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable format at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so no doctor's office or pharmacy trips. It ships right to your door in a discreet package. You sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you receive your prescription within days. Their licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength. And Blue Chew is chewable, just like it says in the name, which is great for folks that don't like swallowing pills. So if you could benefit from some extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we got a special deal for our audience. Try Blue Chew free when you use the promo code InsideMarvel at checkout. Just pay $5 in shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code InsideMarvel to receive your first month free. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this show. All right, MT, let's get back to this episode of Loki.
Let's get it.
So wait a damn minute. Where is Loki in this post-credit scene? And who are these other Lokis?
That is a good question, because in the credits they're listed as Kid Loki, Boastful Loki, Classic Loki, and Gator Loki. So
yeah, I don't think he's credited as Gator Loki. That's just what we think.
That'd be great if he was credited as like Gator Loki.
Yeah,
but
yes, Gator Loki, and he's played by Al the Alligator.
He has his acting credits. He has an IMDb page. Everything. It's like the most famous Gator in the world. But they do seem to be around the ruins of New York, as we've seen in the trailer.
Yeah.
So we see the Avengers Tower behind them, and this does seem to be a timeline where maybe possibly the nuke went off at the end of Avengers 1.
Okay.
Which is very interesting to me. And I think that this could actually potentially be a timeline where maybe Phil Coulson lived. This is something that I've been thinking about over the past couple of days. Because Phil Coulson's death is extremely important to the end of Avengers 1. Because if Phil Coulson doesn't die, the Avengers don't assemble in time, and then the nuke goes off and New York explodes. So maybe this timeline is where they're sending all of these Lokis. This like really shitty timeline. It's like, all right, it's the worst. Who cares? Let's throw all of our trash there. So who knows? That's just what I'm thinking. Where do you think they're at?
I think that's a really cool theory, MT. I thought about that too, that this could be like an alternate version of the Battle of New York.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering if that Avengers Tower, if it is Avengers Tower or Stark Tower at the end of that movie. Like this could be sometime later. In that shot, we don't see how much of the A is blown off. And I wonder, like, I don't know how powerful of a nuke the U.S. government fired at New York in that scene, but I would imagine it would flatten more of the city. It wouldn't leave any of the structures standing that way. This looks more like twisted and weird, more like a choice to design it this way. Like, I wonder if, like, whoever is running the TVA, if it is Kang, if it is someone else, had this very specific future New York that has been wrecked, and it banishes all of the Lokis that it prunes to this place to just kind of keep them here in exile and have them like fight over each other. Like maybe New York was like fine at first, but then after like 3 or 4 Lokis get sent there, they all just keep fighting over it.
It's like World War Loki.
Right. And they're using different spells, and that's why you have this weird plain in the middle of the city. I mean, not just Central Park. It looks like certain areas have been flattened. And a shockwave has just disheveled certain buildings a certain way. But like, I wonder if like there's a President Loki, because like everyone here is a Loki. It's like the Citadel of Rix essentially. But if the Citadel of Rix was like a prison that they're all kept in.
That is so interesting. I wonder if everybody that's pruned goes into a timeline where it's all them. It's like a hell of them. Every version of them. That'd be crazy.
Oh, how horrible. Yeah, because I wonder if, like, when other people get pruned, I feel like they're sent back to whatever their home timeline is that they were taken from with their memories restored. But when Loki gets pruned, I think Loki is a specific thorn in the paw of Kang or someone like that, right?
So, like they're just like,
Kang
you have to go
recognizes all Lokis as a threat, so I have to keep all the Lokis on this Elba, you know? So that they can't come back and kill me, because they're gonna.
It's so interesting why they wouldn't just outright just kill all the Lokis. Like, why even just do this weird timeline thing? Like, why just like, all right, I'm just going to shoot you in the head. You're dead. You're not coming back.
I thought that too, MT. Maybe it's just like, for one, killing a Loki's really hard because he's a badass. He's a demigod. It's not easy just to he'll just like reveal himself to be a duplication cast, you know? But secondly, maybe that was the plan at the beginning. Maybe Lokis were killed. But then whoever, you know, we're calling him Kang, but whoever's running the TVA recognized that, like, oh, it's like whack-a-mole. There's so many Lokis. There's infinite Lokis. And the only way to permanently guarantee is to just like keep pruning them off and keeping them alive in this place. But if you kill them off, they could get resurrected in some other form, you know? His soul could go incarnate somewhere else, and then you have no idea where he is. So the point is you capture him and you put him in your fish tank.
That is an excellent point. I'm glad you brought that up, because now I'm thinking about, like, what if there is a higher authority, like, you know, not like a Kang or anything, but like, you know, like I said before, like the Living Tribunal, or maybe Lord Chaos and Master Order, that are higher in charge than the TVA. So like when, like you said, a Loki does get killed, like physically killed with like a bullet or something, they get reincarnated because like the chaos element that Sylvie brings up in this episode has to exist. Like it has to exist to make the multiverse function. So like you said, this is a great reason why we put the Lokis into another timeline. It's like, you're alive. Like we're not gonna kill you, but like we have to we have to control the chaos because we want to be in charge. So that's an excellent point. I like that you brought that up.
Shifting gears a bit, MT. Wait a damn minute. Mobius said TVA brought in Kree, Titans, and vampires.
Yes.
Is this a Blade setup?
It's gotta be, bro. It's got to be, bro. I hope so. Like they gotta be setting up Blade. They gotta be sort of setting up the alternate universe Mobius. Like, you know, it's...
Or Morbius. I keep saying, like, mix it up. We got a Morbius and a Mobius now.
Morbius and Mobius. Mobius is teasing Morbius. Enough.
I mean, technically, this is not the first mention of vampires in the MCU. In Thor Ragnarok, Korg said that 3-pronged wooden weapon could kill 3 vampires standing close together, which at the time was such a great What We Do in the Shadows reference from Taika. But yeah, vampires do exist somewhere in this universe. Now we're getting a second one from the TVA. Yeah, I mean, I think with the Darkhold's emergence in WandaVision, we're going to start seeing more and more of this stuff, supernatural stuff, get layered into the MCU. Because with witches and the Darkhold, you also have things like zombies, vampires, werewolves, etc.
It's true. And like it's been rumored that we're going to get Dr. Voodoo in Doctor Strange 2. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. I don't know if that's still the plan. But like, and Dr. Voodoo, of course, deals with, you know, the undead and dead creatures. So like, we're going to get all that shit. The undead, vampires, all that stuff. It's going to be great. Hopefully Doctor Strange 2 is where we get vampires introduced, because I feel like that's the most logical.
I mean, I'm ready for some Blade announcements, because that Mahershala announcement at Comic-Con 2019 was like the big announcement at the end of it.
Yes.
He just wears a Blade hat, and we have heard nothing about it since then.
That's all we needed was the Blade hat to tide us over.
I mean, I'm still clinging to that. I love it. All right, a bit more to talk about, but first, one more person we want to thank for sponsoring this episode, Bespoke Post. So Bespoke Post's new lineup of essential box of awesome collections for guys are guaranteed to upgrade your life, no matter what you're into. Some of my favorite boxes from the past have great shirts that I wear all the time, cool kitchen equipment, some fun travel gear. Whether you're out taming the wilderness or taking your home bar to pro-level heights, Bespoke Post only sends guys the best stuff every month. Box of Awesome has collections for every part of your life. The new Explorer box comes with cool gear that you can use to go off in the wilderness, and Julep box comes with everything you need to make some fancy mint julep cocktails. So to get started, take the quiz at boxofawesome.com. Your answers will help them pick the right box of awesome for you. They release new boxes every month across a ton of different categories. It's free to sign up, and you can skip a month or cancel anytime. Each box only costs $45, but has over $70 worth of gear inside. Get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter the code MARVEL at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com, code MARVEL, for 20% off your first box. So we were talking about this a bit earlier, MT, but wait a damn minute. Where did Mobius get pruned to? We know where Loki's get pruned. Where do these other, where does C20? Where does Mobius? Where would Renslayer get pruned to?
That is a really interesting question. Well, me being of the church of Mobius's Loki, since episode 1, I think that Mobius could actually be in this timeline where all these Lokis went, and we just haven't seen him yet. He's just chilling there. He's like, why am I here? What is this?
How did I get here?
Wow. I mean, we're not getting the wow.
He says everything but wow. Ow.
Ow. Wow.
A cow.
I feel like that was in his contract. He's like, listen, I'm not doing the wow thing, all right? If you want me in this show, no wow.
Where art thou? It is
Loki,
every other.
That'd be so hilarious if he went into like that moment with Sif and Loki. He's like, "How where art thou, Loki?" or something like that. Just like that'd be hilarious.
So I like that idea. I think, you know, he even said, "What's going to happen?" Like, "Oh, where was I? Where did you get me from?" I bet I was riding around on my jet ski. I love how much he said the word jet ski, and then he's like, "Do I have a jet ski? I wish I had a jet ski. I'm gonna get a big jet ski, real fast jet ski."
Right? He's like, if these are gonna be my last words, I'm gonna say jet ski as much as possible.
I hope that I hope he's on a jet ski somewhere. That's what I hope. That's why that would make Renslayer's pruning of him a little less cold-hearted. Because we saw Sylvie prune some TVA agents last episode, you know, and I hope that every time you do that, it's like the Matrix. You're freeing this person. You're unplugging them.
Yeah.
And I hope he just wakes up and then he's kind of grateful that he was pruned, because he's either mid-jet ski or maybe he's a jet ski salesman who can't afford a jet ski himself.
Right? He just wakes up on a jet ski, like in the middle of a jet ski store. He's like, oh my God, I fell asleep. I was like,
well, you know, that's a good thing about a jet ski. Most of the time you can fall asleep on a jet ski or just kind of doze out on a jet ski, and you're fine. Even if you fall off, you have those keys that like are attached to your wrist. So if you fall off the jet ski, it immediately powers down the engine. You're fine.
It's the ultimate machine.
I know. I'm saying, like, I'm not saying get super drunk or high and go on a jet ski. That's illegal and dangerous.
Please be safe.
But you could, and it's not as dangerous as doing that behind the wheel of a car.
It's true.
That's what makes jet skis so great, is you're just roaming around a big open body of water, and everyone can see and hear you. They'll get out of your way.
Like, do you know how many people died from jet ski collisions? It's very little, I'm assuming. So.
I have no idea what the numbers are on that. Some jet ski sales people commentators are like, well, actually,
you know, number one killer of people, jet skis. Really.
Yeah,
so.
We call them aquatic organ donors, is what we call them, really. Because if you want a waterlogged kidney, go to a jet ski owner.
The jet skis are the vending machines of the sea, basically, because apparently vending machines are super deadly. I don't know how, but they are.
Editor John reports that based on USCG report, 600 to 700 jet ski accidents are reported each year, resulting in around 40 deaths. So this tendency has been declining over the past decade. I wonder if that's deaths per jet ski, or just because fewer people have jet skis, unfortunately. But 40 deaths, not that bad of jet ski accidents a year.
Yeah, I mean,
say.
obviously terrible,
been higher.
but like it's not that bad of a number. It could be higher.
Right, yeah. Could have been way higher. One last question I want to ask you before I jump over to the breakdown, MT. Wait a damn minute. Will Loki and Sylvie create the multiverse of madness with love? Is that what the show is?
I think they're pulling
If
an
so, I love
Interstellar.
it,
They're pulling
but-
an Interstellar. There's like, hey,
Power
love.
of love.
Love is the ultimate power in the cosmos. Honestly, maybe, because that's what this episode seemed to have done. Because like as soon as they had their little moment on Lamentus, the temporal energy monitor went like straight to redline, like right away. Because usually it slowly goes to redline, but like it's just like, nope, the power of love, we're going straight up. So yeah, I think that could be a huge key to how all of this happens somehow. I don't know how, but like I think love, or at least the love of these two variants specifically, because it's just very unlikely. It's just like, yeah, I think that could be a key to how all of this goes down. But what do you think?
No, I think you're right, and I think it's the specifically when a Loki falls in love with a Loki.
Mm-hmm.
When a Loki loves a Loki. Sorry.
No, please.
I don't know why
that was beautiful. I loved it.
We just lost 1 million subscribers. Back to 2. Yeah, I think the fear of the Time Variance Authority is Loki's specifically. And I think when Lokis combine their strengths as opposed to warring against each other, that's the worst case scenario. Because I think the idea is that Lokis might have the potential to be a Nexus being. And if they can ever reach that true potential, that's the fear. So you keep them squabbling with each other in this like ruins of New York playground, this sandbox. But if any two Lokis are ever free and are able to kind of find that inner awakening with each other, that's the worst pruning. So I don't think it creates like a multiverse necessarily, but it does present a great threat to whoever's running the TVA. And I think that's what these branches represent now, because I think everything they've told us about the TVA is bullshit. So we don't know if it's going to lead directly to a multiverse, but it is going to lead to a version of reality that Kang or whoever's running this organization hates and fears. I would imagine, knowing from what we know of Kang in the comics, he likes a multiverse, right? I don't think he wants to see. He has his own timeline that he's building, but ultimately he likes other branch timelines out there because those are other resources that he can use to feed himself at the end of all time.
Right.
So maybe there are other branch timelines. There are other branch timelines and variants out there that the show has kind of ignored. But it's just kind of presenting this mono timeline view of reality that and putting up blinders to everything else.
I like what you just said, because like when you talk, you say magical things, Eric. I hope you know that.
I sometimes wander into some.
No, I like what you said, because like that got me thinking, if Kang is this being that loves the multiverse and wants the multiverse to thrive, and we have Ravonna Renslayer who's like, working on behalf of these fake timekeepers, what if Kang conquered in the past the timekeepers, or the timekeepers took it from him, took him hostage? It's like, hey, Renslayer, we got your boy. You got to do what we say and keep this lie up. And we got Kang over here. So like maybe she's like has a gun to her head by whoever's running the timekeepers, and she has to do these shitty things to keep Kang alive. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right that she does have a gun to her head. She said, just do it, just prune me. Like, she wanted it to end in that moment. I think she wanted to be freed to wherever she came from, to just not have to do this anymore. I wonder if, it could have been the other way around. Maybe Kang conquered the TVA and then replaced these things with puppets, and then he's really pulling the strings of it now.
Dang, I really hope that they're not in an abusive relationship. Please be okay. I hope that Kang's not, being like, Ravonna, do all this evil shit, because I don't know. Anyway, you can cut that out.
I don't know. No, I mean, that is kind of Thanos has abusive relationships with all of his children, right? So
this is true.
It's we've seen it before in the MCU. Well, there you have it. So that is it for this episode of Inside Marvel. So again, the breakdown of the episode 4 is going to be on the channel tomorrow. Keep an eye out for that. Don't forget to check out our many great Loki merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow MT at MasterTainment. Follow me at EA Voss. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to Inside Marvel wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you for watching. And we'll close with our favorite moment of the episode.
We can talk.
Oh, yeah?